Hello students, I am here with another video from the chapter of class 10th NCERT book, that is How Do Organisms Reproduce. Before starting today's video, I would like to tell you all that in this chapter, what all topics are to be covered. So the topics which are to be covered in this lesson are, first I am going to introduce you with this lesson, then after that I am going to tell you about the first introduction to this chapter, okay, and then we will study about the need of reproduction. Then finally we will study about that how the exact copy of the living organisms are being formed. Then after that we will study about the modes of reproduction, in which we have to study two modes of reproduction. One is the asexual mode of reproduction, and next is the sexual mode of reproduction in plants as well as in the animals. Then after that we are going to discuss about, in asexual mode of reproduction we will discuss about the various modes, like we will study about the budding, fission, binary fission, multiple fission. Then after that we will study about the fragmentation, regeneration, okay, so many ways are there, and then vegetative propagation. And then we will discuss about the higher organisms. After studying about the lower organisms, we are going to study about the higher organisms, in which we will study about the human beings, mammals and the human beings, okay. Then after that we will study about the reproduction in plants, in flowering plants, okay. And then after last in this topic would be reproduction in humans, then reproductive health, okay. So these are the topics which are to be covered in this chapter. So I firstly go into the reproduction of, the introduction to this word reproduction. Fine, in the introduction part I must say that, and everybody has studied about this chapter in class 8, isn't it? We all have studied about this chapter in class 8. So what is the chapter? So we have studied this chapter in class 8, and in introduction I must say that in this chapter we have, in class 10th we have studied about the various life processes. So if you remember the names of the life processes, so what are the life processes which we studied in the first chapter? So the life processes which we studied was, we have already talked about the digestion, then respiration, where the exchange of gases is taking place. In digestion we have studied about how the food is, how the nutrient is being released in the plant, in the animals as well as in the plant's body. Fine, we have in this respiration we have studied about the gases exchange in plants as well as in the animals. After that we have discussed about the conduction of the different materials in the life process of circulatory system and the circulation, okay. Then finally we have also studied about the excretion. Now we are going to study about this the next chapter, that is also that we have not put this topic under the life process. Why? So the very first question, the very first query is this only, that why this topic was not introduced at that very place, means in the life processes, why we have not studied. So we have studied all the important life processes over there, because of which we if in the absence of these life processes we would die. If we are not going to eat food, we are going to die. If we are not going to respire or exchange the gases like oxygen, we are not taking in oxygen, then we would die. So if we are, I mean to say that life processes means all the vital functions, all the functions for the body which is necessary. Because of the absence of these life processes, the animals or the organisms would die. Not only the animals, I'm just talking about all the life forms. All the life forms would be dead if they are not going to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Fine. Similarly, but here what is the difference between this chapter and the other chapters? The difference lies here only that if we are studying this reproduction part, it is not very much important at all, because of which, in the absence of which, we are going to die. Fine. So we have not included, this chapter was not included in the life process. Fine. Now, why the next thing or the next question which comes in our mind, that see, whenever we are talking about the word reproduction, what does it mean? It means that we are producing something again. Okay, and what is that? It is the new organisms, the new life form. The new life form is developed. Okay, the development of new organisms. Okay, so what is the meaning of the word reproduction? It means that reproduce. Produce means to make something, to reproduce, and to reproduce means to make to develop a new individual. Now, if we have we can see that there are so many plants, so many animals, so many birds, insects, and the variety of the flora and fauna are present. But how this was possible, and if it is that is why it is being said, and yes, of course, yes, I just now said that it is not so much important, because the plants, the animals and the plants, they are going to die. They are not going to die in the absence of this process. Fine. So what does it mean? It means that whenever we are talking about this word reproduction, it means that it is it is a vital function just to increase the number of individuals. Fine. Now, it is being said that, see, if in the absence of this process, in the absence of the reproduction, if the animals, if the plants, they stop reproducing, then at once, just you think about what would happen on the earth. Those animals which are present, those plants which are present on the earth, they are fixed in number, they would be fixed in number, but there would be no infinite plants and animals on the earth. Now, if they stop reproducing, means they are not going to produce more and more individuals of their own kind, then what would happen in the couple of years? What would happen? So, in the couple of years, they are going to extend, they are going to completely die off, they are going to completely finish. So, if the animals and the plants, they need to continue their life on this earth, they need to increase their number. Okay. So, that is the very significance, that is the most important part, that is the most important thing about this process of reproduction, where it means that all the living beings, all the living organisms, they are increasing their number. To increase their number, the importance of reproduction lies. So, what is the importance? What is the need of reproduction? The need of reproduction is, what is the need of reproduction? Its need is to increase, it helps in the increasing of, it helps in increase of population. Okay. Now, if we talk about the plants, if we talk about animals, okay, if we talk about humans, insects, then birds, okay, fish, any of the life form, if we are talking about, all these are increasing their number just because of the process of reproduction. Now, the question is that so the significance or the importance or the need is this only, that the process of living beings, it is a process by which the living beings produces their own kind, that is termed to be as reproduction. Okay, how would you define this word? How are you going to define this word? So, you are going to define this word, that is reproduction, by one simple definition, and the definition says It means that it is a process by which the organisms increase their number, or they produce their own kind. Fine. Now, what is the meaning of this word own kind? It means that if we are talking about the neem tree, it is going to give rise to a neem tree. Okay. If we talk about the cat, it is going to give rise to kittens. If we talk about the hen, it is going to give rise to chick. It is not going to give rise to any other species. So reproduction is a process by which the animals, the living beings, they produce their own kind. So this word is equally very important. So here is the significance. The need of reproduction is this much, that if the animals, see, in this process also energy is being utilized, because if just like it is all other life processes, if we are eating food, some energy is being utilized. If we are respiring, some energy is being utilized. Similarly, if the animal is reproducing, it means that some energy is being utilized in the development and the growth of that particular living organism, children. Okay. So it means now here the concept is going to, there is one controversial part, that if the energy is being utilized in reproduction, then what is the need of this reproduction? So the very important need, the need of reproduction, or the importance of reproduction is this much only, that if the animals are not going to reproduce, they will die. Whosoever they are present on the earth, they are going to die, just because of any change, any disease, or as aging is going on. So after a certain age, after a certain time, they are going to extinct, they are going to die. And once all the population of the same species dies, the particular species will undergo extinction. Okay. If they are not going to equally reproduce properly or in proper number, then what would happen? At last, the extinction is going to happen. So to maintain their life process, to maintain each and every number of each and every species, this process of reproduction is important. So reproduction is important for each species, because this is the only way for a living being to continue its lineage. Lineage means it is to continue their life cycle, to continue their number. Apart from being important for a particular individual, reproduction is also important for the whole ecosystem. Now, why we are talking about the ecosystem? Because all the living beings, whether it is plants, animals, insects, birds, or any other life form, all these live in the connection with the abiotic factors as well as other biotic factors in the ecosystem. So it is going to maintain the ecosystem, just for maintaining the continuity, just for maintaining the number of animals and the plant species in a particular ecosystem. The reproduction is required. Okay. So it helps in maintaining a proper balance between the biotic as well as abiotic constituent of an ecosystem. Okay. So what does this mean? This means that whenever the animals are growing or the plants are growing, after certain age, after certain lifespan, each and every living organism has to die, because this is one of the characteristic of living beings. Those which are living beings, they take birth, they grow old, they become adult, they grow and die. Okay, so this is just the definition of any living creature or any living thing. Okay, so if we say that if the animals are living, they are growing old and they are dying. After the death of the particular number of species, what would happen? They will extinct. So to maintain their number in the ecosystem, they have to give birth to their new species. So this is possible because of the process of reproduction. They are going to produce their own kind again. Okay. Now the reproduction also is going to facilitate the evolution, because variations are going to come through reproduction over generations. So generations are going to maintain their lives on the earth just because of the process of reproduction. So this is very much important. This is a very this reproduction is equally important as other life processes, but it was not being considered in the life process. I have given you the reason it was that it was not so important, because of which in the absence of reproduction we are going to die. No, it's not that. But still, what is its need? Because energy is also released, energy is also utilized for each and every life process which is going on in the human beings or plants or animals or insects body. Okay, so the need for reproduction is just to continue their number, to maintain their number. Okay, so what is the need? What is the importance? So the importance of reproduction, or the significance what is the significance, what is the importance of reproduction is that, what is its importance? To maintain or to the continuity of life, to increase the number of particular species. Okay, so these are the most important thing, because of which this process is also equally becomes important. If it is not present, the animals would go under the extinction. Fine. Now yes, of course they are going to produce their own kind. Please remember this. Fine. Now I move on to the next topic, that is it is written there in your book also. Do all organisms create exact copies of themselves? It is just the last point I have just now said, that whenever the reproduction is taking place, it is going to maintain the evolution also. Now why this is so important, and how it is going to maintain the evolution? So the next point rises up, that what is so interesting about this reproduction, or how do the organisms get the exact copy of their own, their own copy of their parent. Fine. Now as you look onto the different species, and if you look about the animals like elephant, whale, octopus, or any animal, if you talk about plants, if you see the neem tree, if you see the peepal tree, if you see the small grass also, even all look alike. How this is possible? And this becomes possible that each and every organism which looks like their own kind. Okay, all the human beings look alike, in spite they are having their different faces, but still we all are same. Okay, each and every person is having the basic constituent, the basic structure of the body is same. We are having two eyes, one nose, two ears. Okay, so all the parts are same. Similarly, if we talk about the plants also, each and every plant look alike with their parent. Okay, if we are having 10 neem trees, they are all going to look like the same. If we are having 10 rose plant, they are going to look like same. So they are not going to be different. We are not going to say that this plant is old, this plant is young, or this is some other plant, or that is some other plant. If the same varieties are there, we can recognize the variety easily, just because of the same appearance. Now the next is that, do all organisms create their exact copy? Do all organisms create their own exact copy? Is this so? If I'm saying that if these animals and the plants, they look same, so it means that they are producing their exact copies. Now, is this possible? Let's read out. Organisms look similar because because of the similar body design. So their body design is same, as I just now said. Okay, I just now told you. If the body design are similar, their blueprints of their design should also be similar. If we are looking, if all the human beings are same, if we are having 5 fingers in our hand, we are having 1 nose, 2 eyes, 2 ears, okay. So if the basic design is same, then all the blueprints might also be same. Now, what is the meaning of this word blueprint? Blueprint means it is the basic design. It is the basic design, and blueprint can easily be understood by if certain maps are being drawn. Okay, the maps are being drawn. If you have to make a house, then what happens? The engineer starts drawing a map, or the basic design is being drawn. So that is said to be as the blueprint. Okay, what is the blueprint? Blueprint means it is a basic design. Now I am saying that all the organisms has their own basic design. It is very similar. Okay, so how this is possible that if they are looking alike, if they are looking same, but exactly are they having their own copy, exactly they are having the same copy of DNAs and the RNAs or the genetic material? Now here comes in the picture that one word that is said to be as the genetic material. Okay, this genetic material has all the information related to the blueprint. Okay, now what is this genetic material? It is the DNA or RNA. Now what is this DNA or RNA? DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid and the RNA means ribonucleic acid. Okay, now these are the two names of the genetic material. These are the things which are responsible for creating the blueprint, creating the basic design. All the information regarding this basic design is kept under this DNAs or RNAs. Okay, and yes, of course, each and every cell has their DNAs and or RNAs. It's not possible that both the genetic materials are present together, but some amount of RNAs are also present together with the DNA. But it is said to be as if we are talking about the animals, we are talking about the plants, all these have DNA as the basic genetic material. Now this genetic material, why it is said to be as genetic material? It is present in the gene. Now what is this gene? Gene means it is the small segment of heredity. It is a small segment. It is a small segment which is transferred from one generation to another generation. Each and every living organism is made up of cells. Cells are made up of DNAs, and these DNAs are present just because of these genes. Okay, in the genes only these DNAs are present, or we could say that these are small segments of DNAs or RNAs. So they are encoded in the form, all these information are present in the form of genetic material because they are written on the gene. Okay, now if we are saying that how if these organisms are producing the exact copies, now how this is possible? Thus the reproduction is at its most basic level will involve the making copies of these blueprints or the body design. In class 9 we have already learned about chromosomes. Now next new word is this chromosome. Okay, so what does this chromosome means? Chromosome is the place, it is the structure which is present in the cell. Okay, we have also seen the structure of cell in class 9th. So we have seen this chromosome. Now each and every chromosome, they have DNAs or RNAs. Where is this DNA present? Here is this genetic material. This genetic material is present. Okay, now this could be DNA or RNA. And what is this complete structure? This is known as chromosome. Now where is this present? This is present inside the cell, inside the nucleus in the form of chromatin. This chromatin condenses to form chromosome. Okay, so we have already seen about this structure of cell, where the structure of cell contains a centrally placed nucleus, and if the nucleus is there, it means that it contains the thread like structure which contains the genetic material in the form of the chromatin thread. Chromatin thread is there, or just we can say chromatin. So these chromatins are going to condense. These are long threads, and these long threads are becoming short, they become thick, and they form the structure called chromosome. Chromosome has genetic material. Okay, now a short stretch of this genetic material is said to be as gene. Gene lies here. It is made up of, it is complete chromosome, this is made up of gene. But these genes are, how can you define these genes? These are the small segment of the genetic material, these are the small segment of DNAs or RNAs, fine. Now basically this DNA is just a structure like programming, as we have seen in the computers. We know that programming is being done. Okay, even you people are studying in class 10th also, fine. So this programming is done, and for what this programming is being done? This programming is for the, it contains all the necessary information regarding each and every organ, each and every cell, what is going to make which organ, which part, or which basic design in future. So this all information, the blueprint is, that is why it is said DNA is said to be as the blueprint. This is the genetic material, and we know that this genetic material is completely based upon the information which is encoded in the DNAs. Okay, so they are present, they are engraved inside the DNA, they contain information. Just remember that this cell which contains nucleus, this nucleus has the chromatin thread. This chromatin thread at a certain point it is going to condense, and if it is going to condense, it takes a new look of this chromosome. Now these chromosomes are the part of heredity, and I'll explain all these things in the next chapter, that is heredity and evolution. Okay, so organisms are how do they produce the exact copy? It is because of this DNA which is getting transferred, it is because of this genetic material which is getting transferred, and it is going to give rise to the different genes and to the different organisms, fine. Now in class 9th we all have learned about these chromosomes in the nucleus of the cell contains information regarding inheritance of the features from parents to the next generation. I talked about that this is the genetic material because it is passing to the next generation. It is a matter of inheritance. It is a process of inheritance. So this DNAs, the part of DNAs and the RNAs are going to transfer into the next generation, and that is why it is said to be as the matter of inheritance. Okay, it is containing the information regarding inheritance, fine. It is going to move on to the next generation. Okay, so the nucleic acid in the form of from the parents to the next generation, the form of DNAs and the RNAs. Okay, so what is the full form of DNA and RNA? DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid. In the DNA, the cell of the nucleus is the information source for making proteins. So from why is this DNA said to be as the genetic material, or this is going to transfer from one generation to another generation? Just because there are special proteins present. So these DNAs are going to give rise to proteins, they make proteins. Okay, so they make proteins. Now these proteins are if the information is changed, these different proteins are going to be made. So if the DNA, it depends upon DNA what kind of protein is going to be made and what kind of proteins are going to be transported to the next generation, okay, to the next organisms. Fine. So these proteins are going to tell us that what kind of information would be present in which organism, children. Okay. Now here the basic design would be different just because of the presence of the different proteins in the animals. So that is why just the concept regarding the animals and the plants, they have the variations. Why they have variations? Why we all are same human beings. We all are means all the living organisms look same. all the animals look same. All the animals means if we talk about a particular type of animal, if we talk about elephants, they look same. If we talk about lion, they look same. If we talk about human beings, they look same. Okay, so why is it so? If the basic design the basic concept remains same, the basic design, the blueprint remains same, but there are certain proteins which are in the variation, or which creates variation, because of which all the organisms are different from each other. Although we all are human beings, okay. So all the human beings are going to be they are having the same basic structure, but still we are different from each other. My face is not look same as to your face. Fine. So each and everybody's face is different from each other. Why this is so? Why this variation is coming? This variation is coming because of the slight change in the blueprint of all the organisms. So it is not true that we are producing the exact copy. From the outer look we are producing the exact copy, but if we talk about the genetic material, it is not the same. So we can say that this DNA is of course it is a blueprint of the living organisms, but still there are certain variations present, so it is not the exact copy. Fine. So I am going to discuss more about these things in the next class. Okay children, so that's all for today's video. We have discussed about the concept of reproduction, that it means it is the process by which a new individual is going to be produced, and this is not going to be so important as we have studied about the other life processes, because energy is being utilized in this process, all the similar to that living organisms, but still it is a process by which life processes were important, they were vital for each and every human beings, but this process is not so important for the human beings, because of in the absence of which we are not going to die. That is why this has been separated from other life process. Okay, so that was all about today's video children. I will meet you all in the next video with the next topic to be discussed. I'll discuss more about this variations and how this DNA is going to be said to be as the blueprint of the living beings in the next class. So that's all for today. I will meet you all with the next topic in the next video.